Hello and welcome to video number 3. Now the question is, where do your sales start? There are 2 facts about where sales start. Now if I was on the phone with you right now, I'd be asking you these 2 questions because they're super critical. We've already showed you in the first 2 videos that you have to start a conversation, you have to help them before you can even ask them to consider you as a solution. So you have to build a relationship before you sell. And then you have to have trust, because trust is at the heart of every relationship. Now, right now, you're doing the same thing. You're not going to get on the phone with us and just sign a contract just because I sound like a nice guy. You're going to want to get answers to all your questions. You're going to want to make sure that this is a smart buying decision for you. And that's fine. Your clients, your prospects, they're no different. What you have to do is you have to figure out where the sale starts for them. There are 2 questions. The first one is, what percentage of your sales start online in some form of research? Now think about that. I've asked that question to hundreds of companies and everyone I get on these phone calls with. If the answer isn't 90% or plus, then we really can't be of service to you. But the likelihood is, unless you're selling something that isn't a very complex sale, but even something simple as researching a doctor or making some sort of economic decision that's worth a few hundred or a few $1,000s. There is some form of research going on. The reason why we do that is because they're going to websites, they're going to URL search navigation, they're going to keyword search navigation. There's content consumption, specifically around their problem. Then there's even solution research, industry expert reviews, client reviews. There's company analysis. There's all sorts of things that they can do. And those are behaviors. Those are the behaviors that lead to a purchase. Now, I promised you in the last video I was going to tell you the 2 things that you have to have at the precise moment when the prospect is ready to say yes. Ready to say yes to that purchase, to what you're trying to sell them. Now, you as the company, as the marketer, must be there at that moment with those 2 things. And the first thing, I've already discussed at length with you. You need to be in a relationship. And number 2, you need to be top of mind. We've already talked about being first and controlling the perspective on how they see this problem and how they see the solution. Now, if you're first and you build a relationship and you communicate in conversation with them, you're going to define value. You're going to set up the buying criteria, and every one of your competitors and alternatives are going to be compared to you. Now, that's an absolute. Now, the second thing you need to have at that precise moment when the prospect is ready to say yes is you need to be top of mind. Now, I want to do a simple thought experiment with you, and I want you to be honest. In the last 24 hours, you've seen hundreds of ads. Name one. Now again, I've probably asked that question 100 to 100 different people and business owners and high-level executives from Fortune 500 companies down to the one-man shop. Now, the reason I ask that question is when we say top of mind, it's not just about building a relationship, because people forget. And I hope this thought experiment demonstrated to you how quickly you forget, because you're no different than your prospects. Memory plays a tremendous role in conversion. Now think about it simply as people cannot act on what they forget. Prospects act on what they remember. If they don't remember, they can't act. Your sales cycle is over a couple of days, a couple of weeks, even a couple of months. And from day to day, week to week, and God forbid, month to month, they're going to have to remember. You've seen an ad in the last 24 hours and you probably can't even tell me what it is. And if you have, you could tell me maybe one, but tell me, what was the message about? What was the call to action? It's very difficult. Now, I want you to be honest, because if you're sitting here listening to that question saying, yeah, you know what, Tim, I get it, I can answer the question, I know how important memory is. But you know what? There are tricks that you can utilize. And if you own and control the data, you meet them where they are during their research stage, you build a relationship, and you can consistently put a message in front of them. We show people that 50% of your ads, they don't even need a call to action. Now, in the last video, I offer to get on the phone with you and help you identify and be able to express properly your value proposition. Now, a value proposition answers the question, if I'm your ideal prospect, why should I buy from you rather than your competitor? Think about this. If you and I, let's pretend I'm the prospect and you're the business. If you were to look at value proposition, you would see it differently than I would. My perception, my outside perception would be that the value doesn't outweigh the cost. Now, picture a scale and value on one side and cost on the other. Now, I'm seeing it where the cost is on the bottom and the value is up in the air. Now, you don't see that. You see it the opposite way. You see it where the value outweighs the cost. Because you, the creator, the developer, the person who puts their blood, sweat, and tears into this, you turn around and say, Tim, this is a fantastic purchase for you, or this is, Tim, my services are what's best for you, are going to get you the outcome that you're looking for. Now, one of the things we recommend is that all you have to do is to start those conversations is with a small percentage of your ads. Now, again, you're not advertising to the haystack. You're only advertising to the needles. So you're not throwing money away. But it's to run some very inexpensive ads across multiple channels. Not just one channel, across multiple channels. Banner ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. Now, later on in the series, we'll show you 13 different ad channels, online, offline, being very strategic. The best use to be top of mind, believe it or not, is very inexpensive banner ads. Now, you see, when you know who you're targeting, and you're only targeting the people that are actively pursuing the outcome that you sell, only pursuing the services that you offer, then all you have to do is two things in your ads. You have to run banner ads on a consistent basis, so you're top of mind. Now, when I say only, I mean the non-call to action. You definitely want to drive people to your page. You definitely want people to do that. There's plenty of things that we can show you with that, and I'm going to get into it in a second. What we call in-funnel, someone who's on your page. Now, I'm talking about 50% of the ads where all you do in advertisement is talk about your value proposition in one or two ways. You either state the value proposition or you support it. You provide proof. You don't have to beat the drum, click here and build out content. It could take them to your homepage. All you're using those ads to do is stay top of mind. Now, remember what I said. Prospects act on what they remember. And the thought experiment we did should have demonstrated that to you. Now, there's two things about running ads consistently every day. Now, imagine that your sales cycle is, for argument's sake, just say 20 weeks. Somebody who's 2 weeks in is different than someone who's 10 weeks in or somebody who's 19 weeks in. So how do you put the perfect prospect timing in your favor? How can you have perfect timing for each and every person who's in that sales cycle? It's simple. Only advertising to the needles and not the haystack. Then you can run ads consistently every day, multiple channels, and you can even change the messaging. Now, what should the messaging be? What I've already taught you. State the value proposition or support the value proposition. The answer to the question, why should I buy from you or why should I hire you for your services? State the reason why, then provide proof as to why what you stated is accurate or true. Because the first thing they need is they need to understand. And the second thing they need is they have to believe it. The proof is what helps them to believe. The proof is when you're educating them about their problem in the building of the relationship. You as the prospect are no different than your prospects. They want to know they're making a smart buying decision. Now, people will pay a premium if they believe what they're going to get, where the value outweighs the cost. Knowing where your prospects start and looking at this screen, if the answer to the question isn't 90% or better, then again, we can't help you. Because if there's a place where sales start, where them researching, them getting comfortable about their problem, so that they know where to seek a solution, and you're the company educating them and building the trust and developing a relationship, then you're going to have the relationship when they're ready to say yes. If you're running the ads every day because it's effective and you're running them consistently on multiple channels, and those ads state the value proposition and you're backing up the value proposition, then you've taken care of the first thing. The second thing you need to answer is this question. What percentage of your sales visited your website before they purchased, before they hired you? Now, think about it. As great as an in-market lead is, somebody who's actively pursuing the purchase of what you sell or the services you provide, the person who's actively pursuing that purchase from you. Now, remember what I said. They research their problem first. When they come to your website, now they're researching solutions. They're considering buying the outcome they're seeking. The solution to the problem or the delivery of the result that they don't have and they want, but now they're researching from you. There's no greater value from a lead perspective. There's nothing more valuable to you than somebody that we call in funnel. They're on your website. They're on your landing pages. They're in your funnel. They're shopping you. It's the person who's in your digital store. We offer a piece of software that you can place on your website. When we offer our in-market targeting, if any of those in-market people, and we're tracking well over 200 million, if you push those people to the page, into your funnel, we know 100% by name. And we can identify them and help you with that. Again, when you get on the phone, I'm going to show you how that piece alone will lower your cost per click at Google and Facebook anywhere from 25 to 75%. Lowering your cost per click means you're going to acquire clients at leads far less. You're going to lower your cost per acquisition. If I can buy a client for $200 and you have to pay $400, and if we're head-to-head competitors, with all due respect, I'm going to whip your butt every day of the week, including Sunday. There's nothing you can do because I can take the difference between that $200 and $400, and I can offer more value. I could lower the price and still get more sales than you. And there's no way you can compete. I can lower the cost and still profit as much as you do with the higher cost, and there's nothing you can do. A factor in me knowing first when someone's in market and the ability to own and control and to have all those conversations when I want, help them build trust while you're selling your solution before you even know who they are, I'm going to win. I offer more, lower price, and still profit more than you. Because profit is the key to victory. If you know who's at your website, you can now build an offer. There's always friction. Price is your friction. You can't remove price. You can't give it away, but because if you gave it away, you'll go broke. So how do you overcome friction? Incentives. Now, incentives, they can cost money. Maybe you'll throw in a premium product along with it, or maybe you'll offer some extra services, something a little bit more, which increases your cost. But if you're already operating at a lower cost per click, lower acquisition cost, that incentive doesn't necessarily have to be super costly, but enough that you can't offer it to everyone. You only offer it to those people who are already engaged with you. Only people who get that offer are the people who are knocking at your door, your website, actively spending time, seeking a solution from you. That's why it's important that you know first where all your sales start, because if you know where the research starts, you can start the conversation first, and you can stay in front of them and on top of mind. You could build a relationship, be on top of mind, because you have to have those two things when they're ready to say yes. If you don't have those two things, you ain't getting that yes. The second thing about what I originally said in the first video, the greatest probability of profit was an in-market lead, with one exception, an in-funnel lead. Somebody who not only is actively pursuing an outcome that you sell or you can provide, but they're actively pursuing that outcome from you. Actively. They're engaged. It's like somebody walking up the aisles of your store, your digital store. They're engaged in your website, your landing pages. Now, if you can do that, actively see who's at your website, you have a tremendous opportunity. You might sit there and say, you know what, Tim? I could put a pixel on my website and I could retarget them. Okay, great. Tell me their name. Cookies only last 4 weeks. If you can convert that into a permanent record, then number one, you own and control it, which means you can take that to any platform, any device, online or offline, and you're not on the clock. You're not at the mercy of a powerful supplier telling you what you could say, when you can say it, and how often. You can go to any platform and start a conversation. You can make an offer as often as you want because that record is permanent. It's yours. Now, think about your company. If you had the names of everybody who's been at your website over the last 12 months, would you be making the same money you are right now? Because I bet you dollar to donuts, you'd be making a heck of a lot more. Now here's the third part, and this is going to be what we cover in the next video. What you're missing is the power of today's technology, machine learning. When you know who's on your website, and when you know who's buying from you, because you have attribution capabilities, meaning you know them by name, people-based, the ability to recognize them. It's not only being able to recognize them on any of their devices so you can advertise, or any marketing platform so you can advertise online or offline, it's being able to recognize them that those were somebody that you marketed when they purchased. Now, guess what? There's even a greater thing. We talked about behavior that leads up to a purchase. Now, when you can target the behavior of somebody who's about to buy, you can start the conversation first. But when you tie that to artificial intelligence, machine learning, you can drive the targeting and refine that targeting. Having the ability to know who's on your website, that's the first level of conversion. If they fill out a form, they're better than someone who visits your website. And if they purchase from you or they hire you, that's better than somebody who fills out a form, and it's better than somebody who visits your website. Three levels of conversion. A click the lowest, a form fill the second, and a purchase or hire the third. Now, think about your business. That sale happens off your website, and there's typically a gap in time between the last time they were on your website and buying from you or hiring you. Imagine being able to navigate from the moment they start researching all the way to the time they buy or hire you. And you know who they are and every single behavior from their research to your website, to everything they did when they engaged with you over the phone. Now, we started this conversation off with a slide in the first video that said success in business has a lot to do with knowing something others do not. In the last 3 videos, I've told you exactly what you should be doing to be more profitable. Now, in the last video, I'm going to show you a technology. Whether you're doing this with me or not, you need to be doing this. And you need to be doing this sometime in the near, very, very, very near future, like today, if not yesterday, because this technology is what we call a structural change. Now, what a structural change means is that this change is coming. There's something that you can't stop it, you can't prevent it. It's going to happen with or without you. So in the last video, it's going to be a very simple technology conversation. I'm going to show you the forces, the technology forces and the economic force that they're having in marketing and in business overall. Everybody thinks of the word data. Data is nothing more than part of the solution. Because when you add data to other data, it produces insight. So success in business has a lot to do with knowing insight that your competitors don't. And that conversation will come full circle in the last video. Thank you, and email me when you're ready for video number 4.